Well, today on Nova Legends podcast, I got Langley coach Bo Amato, who's Langley Saxons, just qualified for the state tournament last week and won the regional tournament. So welcome, Coach Bo. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks ever so much. You're welcome. Yeah, and happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your team this year. Obviously my son goes to Yorktown, and we played you guys. I guess we played you guys 3 times, and I saw you play a couple other times. If I had to describe your team, you're very strong and experienced in the back. That seems to be your strength of your team, and you're also very good in the air in the final third. Is that pretty much how you'd see it as well?
I think definitely we do defend very well. I think our back four has done a great job, but I think the whole team and I mean everybody in the team, not the guys that are playing 80 minutes, even the people that get to play 5 or not even 1. I think everybody's really bought into we have to defend because we're not a prolific team scoring, but we take our chances when they come up. So in the past, I've had some very dynamic players that have scored a lot of goals for us, and we're not that sort of team this year. But as a team defensively, I think we're phenomenal. Really good. I mean, we all make mistakes because professional players make mistakes. So obviously, amateur youth players are going to make mistakes. But I think you're kind of spot on in your discussion of the team.
Well, and going into this year, I mean, last year you had a Division I prospect, Philip. I think it's Bogatov. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yes. Yeah.
A tremendous striker. Well, I guess he's more of a attacking mid striker, but he was just a great player. Are you surprised that he graduated? And I thought last year your weakness was kind of defense. And some games you guys gave a lot of goals up. This year it's a completely different team. You guys are so strong and behind, and you eke out the 1 and 2 goal wins.
Well, I think there's a number of issues that we had last year. Firstly, I don't think we were very deep. And we have a young lad on the team called Jeffrey Stark. And he is, in my opinion, extremely good. And for people that watch him, some people won't like the way he plays because he doesn't dance on the ball. But for me, he plays more like a man. He would win it and give it. And we lost him last year to an ACL. And regretfully, I was going to build the central midfield around him early in the year. And within no time at all, he's unfortunately torn that same ACL after 3 games. And I didn't know how we were going to recover from that this year. So last year when we lost him, and we had some other key players that got hurt last year, we just were not very deep. We ended up losing to South Lakes 5-0 in the regional semi-final, which was obviously frustrating. We'd beaten them twice in the season. They'd beaten us once, and it ended up being 2-2. But South Lakes were a good side. But it's hard. I think you need a team. You cannot survive on 1 or 2 players. I think you have to have a team that buys into working hard on and off the ball. And this year our team has done that. And the team did last year. We just didn't have the legs. It was just too much football and not enough rest.
Well, one difference this year, I think it's fair to say one of your weaknesses last year was the goalie position. And I know against Yorktown, we got a couple goals we probably didn't deserve, or I guess that's just the way it is. It seems like you have a basketball player who's going to run off making Amato, I believe his name is. He's playing goalie for him.
Yeah, Armour. Yeah, he's. Last year we a freshman Brady went in goal for us, and as a freshman he was phenomenal. Like did a really good job under difficult situation, and the team rallied around him, and his performances were great. And he's going to have a really prosperous future in goal, especially as he gets older, stronger, and better. And he could be a goalkeeper for many schools right now, no doubt. But people say high school soccer, the ball's in the air. I don't know what they watch. All football, the ball is in the air. I don't like the critique of high school football and this football and that football. It's all the same. It's not rocket science. I've seen high school teams knock the ball around until the cows come home and not try and attack. And so the reality is, the ball is going to get served in the box. Not all goals are going to be scored from 30 yards outside. There's going to be corners and set pieces where you need a goalkeeper to come and claim the ball. And we live in an era where we watch professional goalkeepers constantly punching balls. But I grew up in an era where goalkeepers claim the ball. And when a keeper claims the ball, it's over. It's done. When a keeper punches the ball, there's second chances. Your defenders and midfielders have got to fight like heck to win the second ball to make sure it doesn't come back in their box. So Armour's been absolutely unbelievable at claiming crosses and claiming corners and claiming set pieces. And that's a big stress relief from the back four and the whole team. So he's got good feet because he played the game as a youngster. He's really positive, great attitude, works hard, fun to be around. And I think the nicest thing, one of the best things or strong things about this team is I don't think there's a player that's arrogant in any capacity. Everybody treats everybody else really well. And I think that's really nice. I think that is what teams are about. And people recognize like this person's better than that person, but there's no arrogance. There's no rubbing it in. There's no, I'm better than you. Never has been. No one's picking up the balls. No, it's a team for everything. And we try and get together. And obviously we're on the the back end of Corona, and pre-Corona, I think as teams, we used to get together every Sunday, which was nice. We don't do that anymore, but we occasionally get together, which I think is good.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about another one of your players. I like your defender. I think his name was Cole. I forgot his last name.
Cole Fisher.
Cole Fisher.
Yeah,
he's a very athletic defender, very aggressive, very poised. I think he does a great job. You had another central defender that I understood played striker for you the other night, but it seems like those guys are very solid in behind.
Yeah, Cole he's been our senior leader. We lost a player early in the year as well, Owner, who's going off to college to play centre back in Division 1. So losing a player of that ability would cause major stress to anybody. But he's back now, which has been a long time out. And him coming back has allowed us to release the other lad to play up top and give us a bit more of a target player if we need it, or if we need to be, because we were very one-dimensional going forward. We didn't have any height up top, and I think we need to be multi-dimensional. And so now we can play a little bit differently, which I think is good. It keeps other teams back four or back three or back five. It just keeps them honest, which I think is good. So Cole's been, his athleticism and his desire to win is phenomenal, and I think it rubs off on everybody else. Owner's poise on the ball and the way he passes the ball is extremely good. And then the young lad Dante that you talked about, he's a sophomore playing with 18-year-olds with absolutely no problem at all. So he is a footballer heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and one player I like a lot. I saw him score a winning goal against McLean early in the year. Is Billy O. He's one of the best low crossers that you see at this level. I don't know if I think he was playing right back that day, but I think he also plays in the attack. Really good, yeah. Really clever player. Talk a little bit about Billy O.
Yeah, Billy is Billy's been I think varsity now 4 years. He's always played at the back, and this year we needed something a little bit different in the final third, and Billy sort of stepped up, and he's been terrific no matter where you put him across the midfield or in the final third, up front, left, right, or in the middle. He is just aggressive. He reads the game well, so he gets the second balls, he makes runs, he asks for the ball, he's unselfish, and he's ended up being our leading goal scorer. I think he's on 13 or 14 now, and a handful of assists as well. But he's positive, and he arrives on time. He wants everybody to be upbeat. So it's pretty much everything you can ask for in a young football player. And it'd be a huge loss when he leaves. But that's the nature of being a high school coach. You have these lovely kids that have to graduate. That's just what it is.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the season some. Washington Liberty had a phenomenal year, but all of us did. I mean, they were undefeated. You guys only lost one, tied Yorktown. We were the same. I mean, it was a very strong district. Washington Liberty, they're similar to you guys. They're very athletic. They're very good in the back. They're a little bit more creative probably up front, but you guys are better in the air up front. So that's, to me, it's kind of a wash. Were you concerned that they were first place and you were second, tied for second? Did that bother you, or did you figure this is postseason?
No,
there's all to play for? Yeah.
This will probably sound arrogant, and that's probably inappropriate, but we played them at home early in the year, and obviously our field's a little bit different than theirs. They've always been good. Year in, year out, Jimmy always has a good team. So, but when we played them, we were missing 8 players, and we didn't create anything really. But I didn't think that we were under threat until we made mistakes. So the goals we conceded that night, we conceded two, were both mental lapses, not physical, just mental lapses. And we all make them. It's very normal. So, unfortunately we lost 2-0, but going to that game, the only thing that concerned me is if we don't score first, it could be a difficult outcome, but I was not concerned. I believe in the group we have, and we're going to lose sometime. Maybe we lose tomorrow night, maybe we lose a semi-final, maybe we lose the final, maybe we lose a scrimmage the week after. I don't know, but one day we may not get the result we want, but this group has a really good character. I think as any coach in his right mind doesn't really want to be around a team when they're 3-0 up and happy. I personally like being around a team that's 3-0 down with 20 minutes to go, that knows they're still going to win. Maybe you don't, but if you have a group of guys that never give up and work hard for a coach, it's so inspiring. And this group are like that. So I don't think I've been concerned about any game. Yorktown, I mean, our conference is very hard, but I think we play Lewis next. I think I've only lost one game all year, so they're going to be a really, really hard game, or maybe they lost two now because depending. I don't know what their record is, but someone said 15-1. But they're obviously very good. I think anybody you play from here on out didn't get there because someone gave it to them. Every game will be hard. There's no doubt the Liberty District is difficult, but I think it goes in cycles. I mean, you've got Arlington Youth Soccer that feeds into the Arlington schools, and kids go all over the place. And in our area, there's McLean, Great Falls, Vienna. There's lots of good youth clubs. And so these kids have technical training when they're young, which is great. And I think it's about heart. A life is about heart. If you don't care and don't pursue your dreams, you're not gonna land on your lap. And I think a football pitch is a great place to teach young boys and young girls. If you fight for something, you may not get what you want, but you have a much better chance of succeeding if you try your best. And I think our conference is very much like that. I see a lot of. I mean, Wakefield, they drew with W&L during the season, and they were theoretically on paper the weakest team, but they weren't weak in any shape, form, or imagination. They were a good side. McLean started the season really poorly, and at the end of the year, they're unbelievable. I mean, they did really well. They played to their strengths and not their weaknesses, and they rallied around their coach, and rallied around the school and their teammates. So I thought Yorktown were tremendous. I thought W&L were tremendous. So we just did what we needed to do on the night. The boys defended very, very well, and then we got up by a couple early, and then got the third starting in the second half, and just I wasn't. I get worried when there's a minute to go and you're down by 2. What if you worry about things? What can possibly happen? Nothing really.
Well, it seems like, so when I first saw you, Coach, it was last year when Yorktown was playing Langley, and you looked like you were in agony. You look like you weren't having fun over there. And I'll say one thing: this year you look like you're having fun on the sidelines. You're smiling. It seems like you're having a lot more fun coaching this year. And maybe it's just because the team has been winning. But last year you had a decent record. It seemed like you're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, when you get players to buy in and you see them, it's not my team. It never has been. It's always going to be the boys on the team. It's their team. It's their school. I really think it's important players take ownership. And last year, it seemed like there was a drama every other week with players refusing to play because they had tryouts in their club team. It was just absolute drama last year. And you're right, it wasn't enjoyable, because I think as a coach, when you coach a game, you want to have, except injury, you want to have all your players there. It's like going to a gunfight with a knife. As a coach, I don't want to go to play a game when I know I've got 4 kids that should be playing, but they're not, because there's psychological warfare going on outside of the team and pressures that they're having to deal. And then when a young boy is being told if they don't go to their tryout, they're going to get cut. For me, that's mind-blowing, because they're a paying customer, right? So I don't understand that mentality at all. So, and then you put a young boy or a girl in a position to lie. You're now teaching someone I can't go to tryouts because I've got a pulled hamstring, yet you're playing a high school game. So, and we're doing things like that. And I think it's not enjoyable. But this year, we haven't had any issues. and most years you don't. But just last year, I think because of Corona and clubs starting up playing again, maybe that created that. I don't know the answers to everything. All I know is it wasn't that enjoyable last. I enjoyed it, but not like this year and not like previous years. But this year is the kids own the team. They get together a lot. I watch them hang out. I stand back and let them do their thing because, it's their memories, their life, their future. I'm kind of old. My future is very different to their future. They got their whole lives ahead of them, and it's great to see them grow up.
As George Allen would say, your future is now. Coach, I always enjoyed talking to you at Villarreal practice. It's been such a great club. We had such a good time. Chandler had such a great time there. But one thing you said really fascinated me. And for folks who don't know, Coach Bo and Yorktown coach Carlos Aranda, they co-own, they're partners at the Villarreal franchise in Virginia. But one thing I always wondered is here, you and Coach Carlos are these wonderful coaches, but you have a club. And you can coach a team at a club. You can have them all year. You can pick your team. You can pick your style of play. But you guys both choose to coach high school, part-time. I mean, obviously you still work at the club as well. And, as I heard you say on the sideline one time, you don't get paid a whole lot of money for that. But you guys still do it. And there's something about high school sports. I played basketball, I coach basketball. I'm passionate about local sports. But what is it about high school sports that makes you love coaching high school soccer when you can just coach one of your club teams and either make more money or not have to pay a coach to coach for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I wasn't the greatest player. I played for my club. I played for my high school. I played for the county, which is equivalent to your state. I played for a pro team. I got released when I turned 18, but a lot of memories I have are really from dressing rooms and banter and there's a few memories from things in games that happen, but as you get older those memories fade. But I miss the banter in the dressing room and the club, and the only place that you see that sort of spark a little bit is in high school. And I think it's the other thing that's really, really great about high school is this. In club, it's all age groups by years and banded, and occasionally kids play up. But in high school, it doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, I couldn't care tuppence if they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. I'll put what I think should be on the field as long as I feel they can compete and they're going to be okay and safe and they understand the game. And the reality is, you could get another guy to come in and coach at Langley, and there'd be a different starting 11 probably, and they'd have a different philosophy and a different thought, and that's fine. Because we all look at a picture on the wall and everybody will have their opinion of whether they like that picture, what they like about that photograph, blah blah blah. But the beauty of high school is you get your kids, you go play, and on top of that, I've been at Langley long. When I first went there, the school and the kids have been tremendous, and they to this day, the staff in the school. And the kids still behave really well. So obviously, if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. And it's I love coaching club. I enjoy going to the tournaments. I enjoy watching kids go to college. I enjoy watching young boys and young girls grow up and become more confident because of what sports will do for them. So I really enjoy it, and I don't know how much longer at my age. I think in order to do it properly, you have to give 110%. You really have to give yourself to it, and it's easier to do that when players give 110%. So those coaches that do an unbelievable job when they're around people that don't give 110%, I think they need a bigger pat on the back than the guys that are winning, because sometimes when teams are winning, it's easier to give the best of yourself. I think the people that can give the best of themselves in difficult situations probably deserve more accolades than those that are succeeding 9 times out of 10. I've probably digressed a lot on that answer, so I apologize.
No, it's great. Is it tactically a very different game coaching a high school game than coaching a U19 high level travel game? Or to you, as you said before, football is football?
I think a lot of it is football. I think, obviously if you go to a tournament, if you want to play high pressure and squeeze people for time and space all the time, then it's difficult to do that in 3 games over 3 days or 3 games over 2 days, because to play the game properly requires a lot of hard work. But people don't realize you should be mentally exhausted after a football match as well, because you're paying attention to everything going on all the time. So I think it's really difficult to play in tournaments and expect players to play at their best. So that's hard. You know, the ECNL league all these leagues are very good if it's one game a week. But having said that, the game is a great teacher. You can practice until the cows come home, but if you're playing in a competitive match, a tackle is a little bit different, tracking back's a little bit different. Not letting people get in behind you is a bigger deal, because if they get in behind you at practice and you give up a goal, your team gave up a goal in practice. So I think, from my perspective, we try to keep the ball, and I think it's important that young players watch professional players play. I think you learn so much more from watching the best play. I remember no one ever taught me the Cruyff move. I never went to a class to learn a skill move, but I watched Johan Cruyff do his Cruyff turn on TV, and I tried to copy it out the blue in a game as a young boy, and all the parents started clapping on the other team, and they'd never seen a kid do that, and of course it was successful. So I tried more things, and then obviously something didn't work, and I probably got yelled at by my teammates. It wouldn't have been the coach that yelled at us back then; it was the teammates that yelled at you. So I don't see. I've never tried to have our teams. We have philosophy to keep the ball. If you have the ball, you're not going to give up a goal. If you have the ball, you're wearing out the opposition. If you have the ball, but not keep it and bore at the end. We all watch football on TV. There's 1,000 channels. If it's a boring game, you can turn it off. On the weekend, you have a choice to buy a ticket to go and watch your professional football team play, or you can go out for dinner with your wife, or you can go racing go-karts, or you can go to a movie. There's a million things we can do with our money, so you need to be entertained. So I like to think football should be an entertaining game. So if the idea is to score more goals than the opposition, but we now, when I watch a lot of professional football matches, and watching England in the Euros was really painful for me, being English, because I felt they were never tried to win. They tried not to lose, and it helped them. They got all the way to the semi-finals, but it was really boring, to be honest with you. If you weren't a fan, you wouldn't want to watch it. You turn it off.
That's right.
So, like US national teams are more excited when they try to score goals.
Right. Well, how about the tacticians at the high school level? Are the coaches that you go against? Obviously, Carlos Arena is an excellent coach, but are the coaches you go against as clever as you see at the club level?
I think most of the high school coaches, they coach in club, and if they don't coach in club now, they coach before, and so I don't see a lot of difference, to be honest with you. And at the end of the day, sometimes we talk about tactics and players, but professional players can't always execute tactics the way a coach wishes them to play. And that's pretty obvious when you look at the league standings, all these divisions. Like, you can't say that the coach of a team that gets relegated from the Premiership or the Bundesliga is a bad coach, but they're the ones that take the brunt of it because their players didn't fulfill the tasks that were laid before them. So it's always the coach. But at the end of the day, the coach doesn't play, the players play. And that's in all sports. But we live in a society where we point fingers of blame on everything that happens in life. I get a speeding ticket. It wasn't my fault. I was following the car in front. I fall over. It wasn't the fact I wasn't paying attention. I trod on a leaf that had blown off a tree. No, we just blame everybody for everything. And I think the beauty of sports and competition is really good for society. And so I don't see. Maybe I'm not the best coach. If I was a good coach, I wouldn't be. I'd be somewhere else. I love that I have the ability to coach. It's really enjoyable. There's some great moments. There's some difficult moments. It's about. I'm not anybody special. My views are really irrelevant. I love watching kids succeed. Even when we see a great goal scored by another team or a great save by the opposition keeper, that's fantastic. To see a keeper make a great save against your team after you string 3 or 4 passes and have a great crack at goal, and you shoot and he saves it, and then there's a rebound, he's brave enough to get up and parry that away. That is unbelievable to watch that, and that's what you watch the sport for. Right? So I mean, when I played, if the team scored a goal against my team, I'd look up and see my parents clapping and other parents clapping because it was a good goal. Now you get referees get yelled at because they didn't make a call against someone that got so-called fouled, and we're yelling about offside. It's just a big complaining fest. Like, enjoy the game for the game. And what a lovely day. Nice weather, safe field, safe environment. You know, it's nice. It's nice to watch players compete in a safe environment. And I love to watch my kid go and compete. You know, if it's not about I get more excitement if my kid goes and makes the tackle or reads the game well and nicks a pass that's being played. He reads it and steals the pass, takes a touch and plays somebody in. That to me is euphoric, because someone, now I'm watching a player pay attention to the game. Like this kid Dante the other night, he stepped in and broke up a pass and then played a pass out wide. That to me is tremendous. That means that player is watching the game, reading the game, and analyze, just alive.
Yeah, I do highlights for Chandler sometimes, and I end up watching them. He never does. I love watching those moments that when they're really reading and it's brilliant. But Coach, how would you compare your state champions that you won in 2017 and 2019? How would you compare those teams to your current team? Is this team on the same level?
This team is different, but this team is similar. The first team that won was not prolific, but they had really good leadership from sophomores and a great captain as a senior. And they were another team. They hung out all the time, but they defended extremely well. I think they gave up 10 goals all season. And this team was very, very similar to that team. I'm going to say all these lovely things about this group of guys, and we're going to lose tomorrow, but that's the nature of the beast, right? But if they win or lose tomorrow, it will make no difference at my feelings towards them. They've done really well in competition. You can be like Man City the other day with Real Madrid, how they lose the game. Sorry, not Man City, Liverpool. They lost. So that's the beauty of football. On any given day, anybody can lose. But this team is very, very similar to the first team that won the States, because they believe they cannot give up goals. We got a young boy called, two players I haven't mentioned, or three. I mean, there's loads. Ethan, who plays at the back in his McLean club, plays in midfield for us. He breaks everything up. He releases the ball early. Evan Preda is a superstar in his own right, because he blocks tackles, and he'll block a tackle, he'll block a shot, block a cross, and he'll be up on his feet to block the next one. The kid has got fight in him like you don't see on a regular basis. And then there's a boy called a young lad called Aidan Connolly, who plays the game like he's in the 1980s. He just refuses to lose. He doesn't matter. He may be 5'10", but he's going to jump with you if you're 6'3", and he's going to win most of them. And if he doesn't, he's going to find the second ball, and he's all over the place. And that's what the first team that won at Langley, that's what the first team had. We had a player who didn't really excel at club football, but played on that team, played right back, but he played like he was, Richard Lindholm was tremendous in 2015. So among so many others. So this team is very similar to that team.
Yeah. Well, last question, Coach, and I really appreciate your time. When you think about the state tournament, which is obviously a knockout tournament, do you approach it any differently than any other tournament? I mean, obviously it's one game at a time, but these are teams that a little bit, less than the teams that you play during regionals and during the regular season. Is it just any other tournament, or do you approach this differently?
For me, it's just another game. I don't. A lot of the players watch footage of all the games and say, "Did you watch this? Did you watch that?" I don't watch. I don't watch the footage. I've got too much going on, and it's not. I don't think you learn a lot. I mean, if I look at our team, we play slightly differently every game. We don't play the same way every game. And you can't. Because if you play the same way every game, or try to play the same way every game, I mean, football is the beauty of football and rugby. You can't do the same thing every time. It's not like American football and basketball, where you can pick and run 7 yards and turn left and turn around and catch the ball, or they're going to block a hole for you here. It can't. It's not choreographed. Yeah, there's certain set plays that we can try and do on throw-ins and set pieces and little things to try and give you an edge. But all the time, players are exhausted. Now the temperature. So the hard work you're asking players to do becomes more difficult. It's the sun can be in your players' eyes. There's so much that goes on that I can't think you just can't buy in. So we got to play this way and they're going to play that way. Because I may go and watch 5 games from an opposition, and when we play them, 2 players be injured, 1 guy's sick, they don't play well that day. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I remember playing really well, and all of a sudden playing really badly, and my coach pulling me to the side and said, "What's wrong?" And I said nothing, looked at him private, and I was having a nightmare. And he goes, "Look, you're not playing well. The only advice I can tell you is work harder. If you work harder, all that's going to happen when you receive the ball, you're going to find yourself in a little bit more space. And if you're in a little bit more space, when you have a bad first touch, because that's what's going on today, you'll have a bad first touch, but you'll have enough time to have a second touch because you're in a little bit more space, and that second touch will calm you down." And and he was right. It's all about confidence, and if we, I always tell players, I know you're exhausted, I know you're shattered, I know you're injured, I know you're feeling pain here, but trust me, they're feeling exactly the same on the other side of the field. Exactly the same pains and difficulties you're going through, they're going through them as well.
Yeah.
So and that's life, and I think it's, I believe in them, right? But if we win, terrific. If we lose, I love them and care about them and think they're the greatest guys, and think the world of them. It doesn't make a difference whether we win or lose. I love winning and I hate losing, but it doesn't make me feel differently about them. And some great teams haven't got as far. There's probably better teams that have been eliminated from a state tournament that deserve to be there instead of us. Sometimes you get lucky. I mean, I've probably got more losses in big games than wins as I've witnessed them. And being a Charlton Athletic fan, we've never really won. I mean, I support a small team in England.
Yeah.
And I love them, but they're well out of their depth in terms of lots of things. And then I obviously have this passion for Villarreal that's grown because of the relationship I've developed with them, and they're unbelievable people and really nice, and the way they treat us, and they're professionals over there, the way they treat our coaches and our club, and when we send players over and when kids get to go over there, they treat them like gold. It's unbelievable. So it puts everything in perspective. And when you see that small professional club competing with teams that they shouldn't compete with, when you look financial budget, when you compare it financially, it's tremendous. So it just goes to show that the beauty of football is, or soccer, the beauty of the game is anybody can win on any given night. And that is and when you lose, it's really nice when you see a team lose and not start moaning and crying on the referee. And if the referee gives a penalty against us after the 3rd minute and I don't think it's a penalty, I can moan about that for 77 minutes, or I can say we've now got 77 minutes to put it right. The only time I think you can really get upset is you're 0-0 with a minute to go and you get a penalty given against you that wasn't. You could probably moan about that, but no, I don't know. I talk too much, but yeah. But the kids are great, and I wish everybody could have some success, because at this stage of the season, the worst part is when you see and I've seen it, and every coach has seen it, when you lose that last game and you see seniors in tears, it means that I believe the school and the teammates have done a great job, because they realise they're going to miss it. Yeah. And hopefully we don't have to drink from that glass this year that we've drank from in the past.
Yeah. You never forget your last high school game. I still think about my last high school basketball game. Well, Coach, this has been great. I wish you the best of luck. My son has really enjoyed playing against your team, really enjoyed being part of your club, the Villarreal, the Viva, the Yellow Bus. But it's been great getting to know you. Definitely, wish you guys the best. It'd be great if you guys can win it for the Liberty District. No matter what happens, you're regional champs. So from here on, it's you can only win from here.
Yeah, I wish you and your son Chandler a very prosperous and enjoyable future. He was a tremendous asset to our club in terms of his personality and his hard work and his dedication. And I think he's got more games coming up with you guys, I think. And then, you know, playing Yorktown, playing Yorktown is always a drama, because after the game, I always see Carlos in the practice field, and he always reminds me, "You haven't beaten us," and da 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 da, and he'll point out all the dates. So I kind of sheepishly keep my head down to avoid that conversation.
Yeah, I never knew you guys were partners until like midway through the year last year, because it seemed like you guys were arguing the whole time. And it turns out they're business. Turns out they're business partners.
Well, friendly competition is really good.
It's great. You know, I mean, I will miss the York. I mean, I'll come back and watch them anyway, but I will miss that Yorktown Langley rivalry. It was incredible, and the games were always down to the last few goals. I mean, one time we got you pretty good last year, but generally it was always down to the last few minutes. Yeah.
I remember last year vividly, 4-0 at home. I remember that.
Yeah, your goalie had a tough day that day, but
well, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, Coach, again, best of luck, and thanks again for doing this.
Yeah, be safe and lucky. Take care. Thanks ever so much.
Okay, Coach, enjoyed it. Yep.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.